And hello, it is Val Evans. We are looking at March predictions today, and I'm excited. It was quite a February, a leap month, a leap February. So it would be kind of just an odd month in general. A lot of people have been telling me how it has flown by, and I'm going to be looking at some of the things that we talked about in February in the February predictions. We're going to look at the old videotape and see what I was taking from the February chart. And if you're new as a member, and you're probably watching this as a valedictorian, I generally put these videos up for valedictorians only, and then let other subscribers see them later in the month. It is an interesting way of looking ahead, and that is we look at the first day of the month, midnight, and I put New York for generally the location when you're in AstroSeek. Pull a chart, and we can actually see a calendar of what's coming up. But can we read it effectively is the question. So I am going to go first to this quick promo. I have not forgotten about part two of the Kill Calendar show with definitely some revelations on the timing of the murders. And I focused a lot on 1973 last time. This time we'll focus somewhat on 73, but we'll also talk about 78, which was a big year for him when it came to, you know, murdering and being convicted and all of that stuff. He was caught pretty fast after the Chi Omega murders. And so we're going to look at all of that with his calendar, looking at the solar return. It's amazing, amazing how you can predict your year using your solar return calendar. And so we're going to look at his calendar. And I thought this was interesting. Now, this is, as an example, this is a chart for Italy, for Florence, Italy. And this is November 1966. This year is when the Arno River was flooded, and it killed 101 people or more, damaged and destroyed millions of masterpieces of art and rare books. And so this is what the chart was for November 1st, 1966, midnight, even though this happened on November 4th. Now you can see quite a bit of, let me see if I can show you this. One second. It is the axis of the second and the eighth house. Um, Hang on one second. Let me see if I can do this. Just put it in here. Take a look at the chart, and you'll see a lot of water. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, here it is. Now you can see this is a pretty big event in 1966. And you can see how much water. Now, Saturn was in Pisces just like it is now, but it is conjunct Chiron, which is wounds and basically people who are being killed at 22 degrees. And we've got Black Moon Lilith there. So Black Moon Lilith comes in and yeah, and Toji, definitely Neptune in the fourth house. And I'm going to address that. It's so interesting that you mentioned that, because that's part of this story. Now, if you can see Saturn is, hold on one second. Saturn's here. So this is deaths in the water. This is a flood and it opposes the second house. Now, the second house is things that are extremely valuable. And I am going to show you a little bit here. Take a look at this. This is the 1966 flood that struck a devastating blow to Italy's cultural treasures. A man paddles a small boat among wrecked cars on a waterlogged street in Florence. And following the devastating flood of November 1966, during which the water of the Arno rose as high as 20 feet, submerging sculpture, paintings, mosaics, and manuscripts in the city's libraries. The deluge began on November 4th, when a period of steady rain caused the Arno River to overflow, sending 18 billion gallons of mud and sludge pouring through the streets of Florence. Thousands of homes and businesses were destroyed. The water also reached several art galleries and libraries containing priceless Renaissance era relics. Some 1.5 million books were left submerged in the Biblioteca Nazionale. Elsewhere in the city, the torrent destroyed or damaged 1,500 frescoes, sculptures, and paintings. In the wake of the disaster, a band of international volunteers known as the Mud Angels descended on Florence to pick through the debris and salvage waterlogged canvases and manuscripts. The teams rescued countless artworks, but in many cases, the restoration process has taken decades. Work on one famous painting, Giorgio Vasari's 1546 Last Supper, was only completed in 2016. Amazing. So this is Saturn in Pisces. This is, the death of artwork or flooding with artwork, old artwork, which would be Saturn being old. Okay. So now I'm going to show you the chart again. Now, the chart ruler for November would be the sun. The sun is down here and it's in Pluto, or it's in Scorpio, and Scorpio represents mud. So, mud would be a major, major theme for this month. And you can see all of the water. This is the river. So, it's just converging together and just making a big soup in the street. Now, what's really interesting is those mud angels. And the reason I'm showing you this, by the way, is because I'm seeing a little bit of a comparison for March, and it'll be interesting to see. And I also actually saw a comparison for this past February too. And I'm going to get to that in one second. But you can see this mud here. And what symbol or what planet represents an angel? Neptune. So, mud angels. And there are groups, Mercury, that are, basically they're called the mud angels. And the other thing too is that you have Mercury is books. So these angels are in there to try to salvage the books. And you can see that they're very fast, which is Uranus, and they're able to be successful in many ways. They're able to salvage some of that priceless artwork. So kind of crazy there, but definitely Pisces in the mix here. And I've been saying this to some of my clients too, because I'm seeing flooding in their personal charts. And it's a possibility, maybe there's going to be something that might be in the Mississippi or, even California. So here is the February prediction, and mud. Remember Scorpio? Well, that would be where the ascendant is in Scorpio. And we would see a lot of news about mud. Like on February 7th, mud and debris are flowing down hillsides across California. And what causes the slides? So well, we know what causes them, planetary activity, but we wouldn't say that in public. But so that is really defining some of this February outcome or forecast. All right. So, and I put a list. There's a lot of things that happen in February. I'm not going to get them all, but I'm going to go back to that in a second. So this is March 1st. This is really what the show's about anyway, and it's predicting what is going on. And what do? I go to March 1st, 2024, to New York midnight. All right, and this is going to show us March. And you can look at March in a few different ways. You could look at the first four houses as the 4 weeks of the month. And theoretically, you could go around the wheel for each day, but I'm still looking at that. It's not perfect yet. It could be just the time that I'm pulling. So, one thing I wanted to do is can Chiron and Pisces stand for drownings? Anything in Pisces, Pisces is water, and oh no, Inga, I hope you're okay. Okay. Um, well, thank you for joining us. Now, I'm going to present something real quick. And this is, I'm going to share this. And I want to I have some notes here because, we're not trying to find out if we're right or I'm right. We're trying to look at whether the chart is reflecting information that we can use. That's all. So that's why we kind of want to do a little review here. And let's see, let's go to 21st. Kind of a monumental decision about February 1st. January celebrating. February 1st. I'm happy about February 1st. January was it felt stuck. I'm a Venus sign, and I was in that T square, and I was just kind of, I guess I was in neutral. I didn't really feel like I was pushing to my potential. So we have quite a different if we're going to talk about Venus, this would be an example. We look to Venus if I were looking for my sign, but really the point of this chart is looking to see what's going to happen in February. And this is for New York. So it would be Pluto is going to rule this chart right here. And Pluto is in two trines here. And it's right next to Mercury. By the way, it wasn't really in a trine. It's close enough to the sun where you could say it's applying to a trine, but it really wasn't exactly at a trine. Just, a detail that needs to be addressed. It seems like another snowstorm or something. And the reason I say that is because we still have three planets in Capricorn. And this is like a lot of groups, it's a lot of metal, and it's a lot of snow. So, we're getting warmer here, and I hope we don't have another storm, but it certainly does look like something is maybe stopped, especially with this square here. So we had a lot of transportation related news that came out. And not only was there a lot of there was a lot of cars stuck in snow, there was cars stuck in mud, but there was also something else with the third house of transportation. So be careful when you're making plans. And it looks like because of Chiron and the sixth, maybe people are going to work or something like that. And it looks challenging there. Now, you may recall that the truck drivers that were supporting Trump were also, they were mad and they were angry and they wanted to shut down New York. I don't know what happened to that, but I'll have to look that one up. Yet, because Pluto is in these nice trines and Pluto is now in Aquarius, it seems like something is really picking up and going fast. And eighth house can be, getting a maybe better credit scores. Okay, so this would show us that there would be a merger coming up. It was a pretty big merger with two credit card companies. So that was coming or in. Some news around something that has to do with getting loans, maybe getting some type of advantage when it comes to eighth house, which is okay. And I believe, let's see, what was it? Two credit card companies. Okay, here we go. Um, Democrats urge Biden administration to block Capital One Discover merger. So that was a pretty shocking thing that these two companies wanted to merge, and one political party wants to revisit that because they believe that consolidating the credit card market would limit consumer choice. So that I think that came out from an eighth house perspective. Okay, so this is really interesting, this next bit. Okay, so check this out. Oops, you didn't hear that, did you? Um, okay, hold on one second. Be getting some type of advantage when it comes to eighth house, which is real estate as well. So that's good news. Also, Pluto, I mean, it is right next to Mercury and Mars here. This is like basically it's like 1,000, maybe even 50,000 cars. Okay. So we have that. Now check this out. US Porsche, Bentley, and Audi imports held up over banned Chinese part. And this Chinese part was an electronic component that was found to have come from Western China. So there were many thousands of vehicles that were stuck there and could not make it through customs. So we saw that in the chart, which is pretty interesting. And let's see, what else do I have? 2245. Okay. I because Pluto's in Aquarius, it seems like there might be some kind of news about electric cars or something that has to do with the future when it comes to transportation. Pluto in Aquarius is just way too close to these other planets, which really creates this it's just a powerhouse and will definitely result in something that is newsworthy. Let's just say that. Now, I have one more note here too. It was 2609 in type of profile. All right, so the big thing for February is a monumental historical hearing, Supreme Court hearing whether Trump can run for president. Amidst all of his court battles and indictments, can you still run for president? It's going to be a big one. And I think we're going to have to look at a couple of charts for that. So I want to see what you think about that. In fact, why don't I pull a card? Okay. So we also had the whole thing with Trump. I don't even know where that stands. Um, Supreme Court. I don't think decision on Trump in February. Uh, okay, so it's an immunity claim. Um, I think Trump he's gotta have an astrologer. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like his timing to screw everything up is amazing. It's like everything is slowly, like, pushing its way into retrograde time, and, so it's interesting. Okay, so they decided to hear, and this was when was this? Doesn't even say. Uh they decided to hear Donald Trump's claims that he cannot be prosecuted. And the decision to hear the case and delay his criminal trial in DC was unquestionably one of Trump's biggest legal victories to date. So there you go. That was a big one for him. Big win. Okay. So Toji, you say, I do not like the fourth house, more flooding in old houses. I know. So let's get, and I'm going to edit this up so you guys don't have to, listen to all of this stuff prior to the March 1st prediction. But let me go over to March 1st, share this tab. Now, this is March 1st, 2024. And if you're just joining us, welcome. And we are excited about looking at March 1st, 2024 to see what we can see. We did see a few things in February. In fact, I'm still going to go back to February in a minute because there was something that came out that was pretty interesting. But we're still in the ascendant, which is the ascendant in Scorpio. And so that's still mud and it's trash. One thing that was interesting, as soon as Pluto hit Aquarius, we started to see news headlines about space, Aquarius, junk or trash, which is Pluto. So kind of crazy that that would be something that we would read about. Now, we're a couple of days into March 1st, so we want to look at Pluto. And we don't really see anything aspecting Pluto. It's in the second house, it's in late degrees of the second house. And so, what we want to do is we want to put on another aspect to give us just a little bit more information. And this is it. It is really in this, it's a quincunx with Black Moon Lilith, our favorite. Now, Black Moon Lilith is way up there in the 10th. There's some kind of Virgo, perfectionist, somebody at work, somebody who is doing something at work that wasn't supposed to be doing, and they fall this month, it seems like. There could be some kind of financial benefit that this person has, but it sure looks like it could be newsworthy. And so that's why when I'm looking at Pluto oppose Black Moon Lilith, this is someone who wanted to try to get away with something and couldn't. So that's what I look for in the personal charts when I'm looking at your solar return chart. I want to look and see where Black Moon Lilith is and what kind of troublemaker is going to manifest and where they're going to manifest. And for the USA, it looks as if there's somebody who is falling. Now, the profile of that person is, you can see a trine to Uranus. And that could be somebody who is an engineer, who's a scientist, who is could be in crypto because of Uranus in Taurus, and something where they're known for some of the work that they do. But you can see this opposition coming down, boom, like that too. And this looks like fraud to me. This is a big, big fraud scandal. We can see we can see it's pretty famous. It's going to be a famous scandal. Why? Because we have the moon, which is fame. And wow, 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 wow. Now, it doesn't always mean something bad because something else looks pretty good too. There's so much Pisces. There could be some, great news about the art world. There is, look at how there's Neptune in Pisces. These are more angels, I would say, and they're very successful. Hopefully, we don't need those angels, but it looks like they're there and waiting for something. Neptune representing angels. Now, this is old artwork. I wonder if somebody is recovering old artwork. So that would be an example of something that would happen that was really positive. And this person right here is maybe part of that equation somehow, a villain of some sort trying to get his artwork. So all of this right here, this is going to factor in probably the fourth week of March. And because, I just look at the houses, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the fourth week. And it just looks, it looks wet. It looks flooding. It looks psychic. And like there's something about healthcare too. There could be some kind of pharmaceutical news that's happening. And perhaps Mercury is a whistleblower. So maybe somebody, and we're long overdue for a whistleblower in pharmaceuticals or that pharma industry. Maybe that's going to somehow, I don't know, give a profile of this, but gosh, that's a lot. That is a lot of Pisces. And so that's the fourth week. The first week we would look at, and I mean, we're already in the first week. So we're looking at Pluto. So this, sometimes it can be an earthquake. I mean, we're waiting for the earthquakes because of all of this Aquarius energy. And we, gosh, I think this might be coming up between something is starting. Pluto represents big, Aquarius represents an earthquake. And let's see, first week, second week, third week. Let me see, the third week. I mean, you just have to look at it every 7 days. So third week would be between the 14th and the 21st. So that would, oops, that's really going to be, you don't see 22, which is a good thing. But you do see a T square. You can see this. You see it? And, this is members of the public. This is secrets. This is something that has to do with, could be those electrical cars still having trouble with the strikes. Aquarius is also strikes. But I I almost think because of this square with Jupiter and Taurus, I mean, Taurus is the earth. This is, it could be worse. It could be worse because Pluto could be part of that T square and it would be gigantic with the smaller energy of Mars and Venus. This could just simply be, it could be two earthquakes back to back because planets represent events in a sense, not just people. So one and then two. And of course, in the third house, still some stuff about online types of vehicles, lots of Aquarius news coming. And potentially, I would say it looks as if there is something is happening, maybe from a cybersecurity standpoint. Um, I mean, this could be cybersecurity and banking because of Taurus not just representing the um, the earth, but also banking. So look for that. I would say it would either be the first week or it would, well, the second week is part of this T square. So, all throughout the month, there could be those types of headlines. I'm very intrigued about all of this Pisces. And when you see so much Pisces and you see that trine to the moon, that can, oh, hey, Shelly, nice to see you. Oh, was it Iceland? So Neptune is trining the moon. And let's not forget, I mean, this is a big month for the eclipse. Okay. This is going to be the eclipse month. And we have a lot of people traveling, which is not good because it's during retrograde. I mean, this is just, I want to hide when I think about it. So we've got some third house stuff, we've got some upsets, and this could potentially have something to do. Now, this would be the time period when it comes to the eclipse. Now, there could be some news about healing, and because, you know, Pisces is like nurses and healthcare and healing. So this could actually be really good news. Something could come out about some kind of an invention or something like that because of this sextile. And I put this together. A lot of people are excited about like Jupiter and how it's applying to Uranus. I'm not. I want it to move on because it shows divorces, it shows upsets, it shows big, big, big upsets, and could mean a big earthquake. But I don't think it's there just yet for the big one. But you're still looking at a stellium here, and Pluto is applying to these two planets, so it could be a little bit more than what we were expecting. And so we've got a kite here. Kites are always good, and you know there it is. Um, so this could represent maybe some jobs news, although nobody really believes the jobs news anyway, because everyone hears about how the job market is improving, yet everyone's having a hard time getting a job, from what I understand. So it's a very strange time, I think, for America. And so I think that the biggest things here are the T square right here. We've got the opposition, and we have one thing I didn't mention yet. Now, Agena, I think that's how you say it. This means happiness of the masses. It is said it's a fixed star, and that's the ascendant on 25 degrees Scorpio. But look at how Uranus is opposing that. So it looks like there are some upsets, especially for the people with planets in Scorpio. The investigators are having upsets. Technology is screwing up, and some of the investigators and hard-nosed investigative reporters are having some upsets. There's been a lot of just upsets when it comes to different industries. And, we have the ascendant in Pluto again for a second month in a row. Last month, it was early, the ascendant was in early Scorpio. So it's kind of going to be the same type of month, like more mud, guys. Maybe some more mud slinging. I don't know. And yeah, so the villain falls. We've got eclipse parties. We've got psychics. We've got fraud. We have got maybe recovering old relics, flooding, um, and let's see, Mercury in Pisces. I always think of Einstein because he had Mercury in Pisces and the sun in Pisces. So I wonder if there might be some kind of article about Einstein or maybe something from the past, which would be Saturn. And what we can learn from Einstein, maybe because of this eclipse, the a lot of people will be talking about Einstein again since back in, was it 1919 or 18, that eclipse was historical and proved a lot when it came to gravity. So he was just a phenomenal historical figure. And it seems like, maybe there's even a movie that comes out about him with Neptune in Pisces. So, with regard, now you could look at the whole thing. Like I look at the first four houses for the first 4 weeks, but you could still look at the whole thing for information, just like you would if you were looking at a solar return, your solar return. But this chart is not only ruled by Pluto, but it's ruled by Mars too. And it looks difficult this month uh, for the identity of what March is. The American identity is in some kind of a shock for some reason. I don't know what the shock is, but it looks intense. And I think, I've said that it looks like a break into. A lot of times it's like a break in, cybersecurity, something like that. But, it just looks like, there's two T squares. So it looks tough right now. We don't like T squares. We don't like them, and we don't like them coming off of the ascendant, which basically is a representation of the public. So I would look at that as the public. And I would also look at the moon as the public. And it looks like there are people in the public that are disappearing in a shocking way because they go to the 12th house. So who would a moon and Scorpio type be? I don't know. Um, probably, probably an investigator, maybe a murderer. Oh, you are, Joanna. I just love Einstein. Anything I can see or read about Einstein, I have, and I know a lot of people who also have Sun and Mercury in Pisces, and just like he did. So we have these types of crazy ideas, and going through his life and basically all of the crap that he had to put up with because he had these visions. Um, he wanted to talk about atoms, and people thought he was just out of his mind. And interesting that he was a Pisces, and part of his discovery was gravitational waves. So, also, there were familial problems for him, and one of which was issues with family because they thought he was crazy. So I think a lot of Sun and Mercury Pisces can probably identify with some of what Einstein had to go through. The Fannie Willis hearing. That is possible. Is that who it was? Okay. Yes, Elon Musk. Can you see the location of the earthquake? That's a good question. Eruptions, and I agree with you about Jupiter. I can't remember what I said about Jupiter. Oh, the fact that I want Jupiter to move on past Uranus. Everybody's like, "Oh, this is going to be an amazing surprise." Well, I don't care what kind of surprise it is. I don't want it. I do not like those types of surprises. So let me see about this. And, we're still hearing about Melania and all of that. Fannie Willis. Oh, that is right. And that was okay. Definitely. Definitely. All right. So, a judge in the Georgia election interference case against former President Donald J. Trump heard final arguments on Friday on a motion to disqualify the prosecutor who brought the case, Fannie T. Willis, on the ground that a romantic relationship she had with a subordinate created a conflict of interest. With a historic criminal case against a former president on the line. I mean, could this have any more layers? I ask. Uh, Lawyers for Mr. Trump and his co-defendants took turns assailing Ms. Willis. John B. Merchant III, who represented or represents the defendant Michael Roman, said that if the court finds the prosecutor's romance did not create a conflict of interest, public confidence in the system will be shot. So, defense lawyers on Friday repeatedly asserted that the bar for disqualification should be relatively low, arguing that even the appearance of a conflict of interest should lead to Ms. Willis's removal from the case because her actions had undermined public confidence in it. Mr. Trump's lawyer, Stephen Sato, picked up the theme, arguing that once you have the appearance of impropriety, that's enough to disqualify. That's funny that he's saying that. Um, Okay. So Mr. Sato focused on a speech Ms. Willis made in January at a black church in Atlanta, calling her remarks a violation of professional rules of conduct. Her speech at Big Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church came shortly after the conflict of interest motion was filed. And hey, Summary, nice to see you. Uh, That's interesting, Joanna. I thought so. Ms. Willis, who is Black, suggested in the speech that the scrutiny of her romantic relationship with the prosecutor she hired to run the Trump case, Nathan Wade, was racist. Some of those comments she described as part of a conversation she had with God. It was a calculated determination by Ms. Willis to prejudice the defendants and their counsel. Can you think of anything more that would heighten public condemnation of the defendant than alleging that the defense counsel and the defendants were making their motion based on race and religion? Okay. Um, yeah, this is a pretty big case here. So the hearing Friday allowed lawyers from the two sides to sum up their arguments over salacious subplot to the election case. One that has already caused significant embarrassment and turmoil for Ms. Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney. Details of her personal life have been spilled out in the Atlanta courthouse where she had hoped to put Mr. Trump and 14 co-defendants on trial as soon as this summer. If stakes are high, the stakes are high. If Ms. Willis is disqualified from the case, sounds like it's going to be, her entire office will be too, and the case will probably be turned over to a district attorney from another jurisdiction. The new prosecutor could choose to continue the case as planned, modify the charges, or drop them. Wow. Like, how does Trump sleep? Like, with all of this stuff going on? I mean, everything hangs in the balance at any given moment, at any given month. So it's just crazy. Okay. I know. I know. It's funny that you say that because um, I was remembering the 90s and how, like, you tend to look back and just regard things very well. But the 90s they were no picnic. We were embarrassed as Americans back then because of the whole Monica Lewinsky thing. And then we had to deal with all the George Bush stuff too after that. It was like we couldn't catch a break as Americans with all of these. Anyway, I don't want to get too political, but you get what I'm saying. Okay. Now let's look at this here. I mean, we're gonna have a lot of people looking at the eclipse this month, and it's gonna be during Mercury retrograde. There are going to be there's gonna be a lot of enlightenment, I think, and maybe a lot of poetry. Poetry, songs, ambient music, maybe house music. But Dancing Under the Stars, and Romance. So that's the 4th week of March for, the US. And, oh, I wanted to show you too something. This was interesting. It was let's see here, 1 second, let me just pull this up. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention this too. For February with 3rd house all mucked up, with, all those planets showing a lot of cars and everything. We've got thousands of US Uber and Lyft drivers set to park their cars and picket at major airports in Valentine's Day strike. Obviously, this was before the strike, but there were plans to strike. Just it was just a lot of unrest when it came to drivers, not just Uber drivers, but cars, and then also remember those truck drivers that love Trump. So, it was just an out of control mess, and it still looks like it's going to be this month. Okay, where am I going here? So I am going to go back to this tab and oh, hey, Heather, nice to see you. Okay, so it was embarrassing because there was a headline about Biden and how he had kept and shared classified material. So, the Ascendant is about secrets, at least for February. And so we also have for March, we've got the Ascendant still in Scorpio. So it's like lots of secrets coming out. And so that one was one. Then we have the transportation strikes, which is third house. We had a royal headline, which was really interesting. And let me see if I can bring that up. One second. Let me see here. Okay, I just had it. Let's see. Videos. Nope, I don't want that. Okay. Chart, just like it would. All right. So what did I want to do? I wanted to go up to 2515. This is pretty interesting. At least I think so. 25. Okay. Right here. And Venus is in Capricorn. This makes me think of somebody speaking out, someone with dark hair, dark complexion, could be an older woman, and might have might be a little bit dark because of that black moon Lilith. But she's getting what she wants, and it might the woman might actually be wealthy. Makes me think of Meghan Markle. I wonder if maybe on one of these days it could be the 3rd or it could be the 15th, and so on. We could double check if we're going to hear from somebody like Meghan Markle or someone that might have a Capricornian type of profile. All right, so the big thing for February is okay. So here we go. 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Uh, and now I'm going, sorry, StreamYard is hard. It's like it doesn't make it easy to go like navigate back and forth. But Okay, we're going to go back to this. And so this is the February, what I was just talking about with Meghan Markle. And sure enough, they made some headlines third week of third week of March. And they were in the snow. Now she wasn't older, but it shows a dark, complexion, as well, or dark features, as well as being up north. So she was up in Canada. And why would this even show? Why would this even show in our February prediction? Well, I've been putting some thought into that. First of all, they visited in February 16th, but I think they might have gotten there on the 15th. And the reason I say that is if I go back to, God, look at that shoe. Who could walk in that? Um, okay, let me see. Okay, you can see this female here. Okay, and wait a minute. Yeah, the aspects that I had on were a little bit different, but it basically, it was like this. In fact, it was actually a trine. So I think that now remember Jupiter represents husband. So this is a female here. This could be Meghan Markle. And she's in the third house. They're talking a lot. We're seeing them talk to GMA, I think it was. But Black Moon Lilith, guys, there's a strategy here. And so that's why I was thinking maybe that's popping up in the chart because we're seeing something that has to do with behind the scenes strategy that might have some effects that are quite grand later. But maybe they're teeing something up with talking about his family. They're being naughty, which is what this Black Moon Lilith would imply. So you can see that here. Oops, it's here. She and her husband are being naughty up north. And so we'll have to see what that means later on. And then we also have, I mentioned the space junk, which would be Pluto, would be junk in space, Aquarius. We had stock surge, and we could look at the second house for stocks, maybe, even though normally you would look at the fifth or the eighth. Um, Eighth is investments. But see, you've got the second house and the fifth house, both represented by Jupiter. So you might as well look at Jupiter. And it is trining Venus. Now, there's a whole lot of obstacles going back and forth with Jupiter, but still, it's going to finish up that month up and, lots of headlines on surging stocks. So, interesting about that. We have the deaths at the Super Bowl party, or the victory party, which is, I mean, it's Pluto. What do you want? It's Pluto. Pluto is, you know, um, sudden things that happen that America is looking at. And the third house is people who are in the neighborhood, locals, people who are, celebrating. Lots of men and women. And there is, Capricorn there, which shows dark complexions and as well as older people. So lots of people with that profile are having a Plutonian effect in a sense. And that is this T square here. And what's happening? They're getting hurt. So when was that? I can't remember what date it was. City celebration. Okay, so lots of stuff happened on February 14th this year. A lot of Valentine's Day stuff, kind of crazy. So, yeah, you don't really see like if you were to go and try, February 14th, theoretically you could go to 12, 13, 14, 14th day. There's no planets in here. You go to Jupiter, which represents that house. So this would be the 14th. It just doesn't show, I mean, it shows a shock. There's a square here to Jupiter. Um, and then there's an opposition to the ascendant, but you really can't get much information from that, I don't think. We're going to have to come up with another theory here. So I'm sticking with my first four houses are the first 4 weeks. And yeah, the fourth week we had 22 degrees there. And just still a lot of shocking stuff that's happening. There's some really nasty headlines right now. I don't even want to look at the news. Like it's disgusting. I mean like child abuse and I don't even want to look. So, oh, great to see you, Angel D. Thank you for coming back in. All right. Um, so that's February. And I think what's going to be really interesting for all of us is to see what's happening here on the fourth week of March. I'm super interested in this. This can mean, it's funny how Aquarius means space. And these two signs really give a reflection of certain countries. Now, we were talking about Russia earlier and how Russia is really Aquarius and Scorpio. But really, if you think about it, it is the land of spies. It is, they're known for caviar and for, foreign land and also mysteries and conspiracies. And so, one of the reasons that I think that Russia, and I've got a point here, um, is not just Aquarius, but Pisces too, is because Neptune is close to the ascendant. So that kind of gives you a hybrid in a sense of a um, a rising sign. I'm starting to think that it's too simple to say somebody is a certain rising sign, especially if you've got a very strong planet close to your ascendant. So, as an example, right here, I have Uranus right by my ascendant, and my ascendant's in Libra. So, you really would have to say that I was a Libra Aquarius because of that. So, you'll have to look at your chart and see what, if any, kind of planet is aspecting that ascendant. And you can really call yourself a hybrid in a sense. So that's why I'm looking at these planets here, all of these stelliums in these signs, and it kind of just merges all together. It's like this could be like, what this is? I mean, we put on our Mercury and Pisces hats, right? Because what are we? The Pisces in the room, or people with Pisces placements, or even Cancer placements, or Scorpio, because they're the very psychic people. But you look at this and you see this could be a spy. This is something about spying. This is a group of spies, and somebody is falling into them. So, I don't know. Looks like a flood, spies, artwork, and psychics. So it is going to be a big, big eclipse month. And When we've seen eclipses before, we have seen how it triggers certain weather events. And, it's going to be, I hope you do not have anything planned because it doesn't look good to me. Okay. So, um, Ma Dixie enormous. Um, what is that? All right. So that's pretty much all I have today. It is, there aren't that many specifics because we kind of exhausted Aquarius and Pisces possibilities here. Um, I'd be shocked if it wasn't a big earthquake, to be honest, because of that Uranus with you know, the Pluto, Mars, and Venus. These are also expensive cars, so they're still probably having those problems at customs, because of that electrical part. But it just seems like there's a problem, but at the same time, there is something that's coming in that's going to be potentially beneficial. Some type of new invention, maybe, which is Aquarius. So we will see. So anyway, um, oh, sorry, Angel D. Um, oh, you used to. Okay, I see what you're saying. That's so funny. Okay. All right. So definitely if you're bored, check out my February prediction because it really does kind of give you some insight as to what was happening for February. And, I don't want, to hear about murders and conspiracy and all of that, but you really have to put this together. Like, like what do we have here? We've got more secrets. We've got a shocking secret coming out. Okay. And I'm saying like within days that's going to come out. Could have this might be AI. And the nice thing though is Saturn has some trines there. So it shows that there are some avenues of Saturn things, meaning that if somebody gets trapped or somebody has some hard time, then gosh, this could be a cult too. But it looks like people are escaping. I could write a book on this one. But like this is a bunch of people here who are disappearing, trying to disappear. A cult leader who's got artwork, what is it? What is it going to be? I do like that I'm not seeing any 22s yet. Sometimes you like to take a look at Chiron, and Chiron next to North Node is tough because North Node is like enhanced or expanded. So lots and lots of wounds. So, of course, we're going to hear about war and all of that stuff. But it's very interesting. So we also have, gosh, I've been trying to sign off, but I keep seeing more stuff. We've got a mystic triangle here, which is interesting. I think this is a spy, you guys. Who is that? This is a spy. And they're in the network. They are in the network and they are coming down. So we'll have to wait and see on that. I'll have to tune in. This is suspenseful. So, anyway. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for joining me and for listening to my silly little predictions. We'll see if any of them come true. And, every one of these, I learn more and more on how to read something, a chart that is at the very beginning of the month, because I've never done that before. And so you guys are discovering it along with me. Yeah, we were thinking that. Mhm. I definitely rewatch, and great to see everybody. Hopefully, I will see you tonight. We're gonna do, an update on Coburger, and we also have a couple of new times that are coming up. So we'll take a look at the charts for those, and that's gonna be 9 Eastern tonight, so I hope to see you then. Talk to you later.